Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today I got this beautiful recommendation on my Discord server. You made a video a while ago about how shadow magic was a bad thing for your wizard by lore and thought adding a light magic to the game could balance out shadow. Could you go more in depth? P.S. Arc 4 hints that your shadow magic is causing problems. So yes, I did make this in passing a while ago. I didn't make a specific video dedicated to it. If you don't remember, basically I made a video, could they add a new school to Wizard101? And I said ultimately I don't think so, but if they could, they would add this school specifically, which in my eyes was a light school. The reason why I thought that they could add a light school is the fact that shadow magic, one, was obviously having some negative effects on us, and two, they want to add a new school at some point anyway to kind of add some flavor to the game. So let me go into it and all that. So first things first, why would they add a new school? Well, from a thematic standpoint, we need it. In Arc 4 in Caramel, we see that our shadow magic has had dangerous effects. We were warned by Grandmother Raven throughout all of Arc 3 that our shadow magic would. She said that shadow magic is inherently a corrupting power, and that power could potentially lead us to having some negative effects, which we do see that with the Aberrant Paradox. The Aberrant Paradox is supposedly us from the future, but like our dark shadow consumed self. So you can see that shadow magic does definitely have some issues with it. From an actual gameplay perspective, they would add light magic as a counter to shadow magic, but also to give the game more depth, to add new spells, and to make the game just a little bit more flavorful. I personally do really like the idea of them adding a light magic to counter shadow magic, and I think it would be pretty cool. Why would they add light magic specifically and not another branch of school? Well, the reason why I personally like the idea of light magic is that we either need to overcome our problems with shadow magic, because it's not like we can just stop using shadow magic, or we're going to stop just using shadow magic. Kingsisle wouldn't take that aspect of the game away from us. What they would do is either do one of two things in my eyes. Either we overcome shadow magic's flaws in some way, we either train it out of us or potentially do something that stops the force from actually corrupting us, or two, we figure out a way to balance it out. So if you don't know, this is like a Darth Revan type thing. Most of you probably don't get that reference, but I do. Basically, Darth Revan was this Jedi turned Sith Lord, and what he did was he used both the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force in conjunction. So it kind of balanced each other out and didn't use one particularly more than the other. I think this would be really cool for something like our wizard, right? Where we can't actually deal with the negative aspects of shadow magic. So what we do is we learn light magic and balance it out. It makes it so that we don't purely just have one side of the magic and we're not corrupted by the shadow magic, and we learn a more positive aspect of magic. So I think this would be really cool. Now that I've gone over why we would do it, let's go into what I think light magic should be. So first off, I think light magic could very easily be added to the pip thing. If you're curious to where the pips would be, you can see here we have shadow magic in front here. The pips would go right here. Obviously, this is shadow magic. We've had it for years. And then I think it would be really cool if light magic was right behind us. And then the pips go right here, and that would eventually fill up and look like a shadow magic, but on the back, a counter, and it would kind of show... okay, I'm not fighting these guys, sorry. I don't want to deal with 50 frost giants. It would show the dichotomy and ultimately the balance between the two magics. What do I think the magic would be? Well, I think it would be really simple. I think shadow magic, you can see here, has quite a bit of damage and then some positive effects associated with them. So, for example, as you can see, basically like with Rage Bull, you have a minus 40% accuracy. I think it would be really cool if Kingsisle reworked the spells. So what shadow spells do, and I think this would be really cool, is shadow spells are more focused on negative effects. So they still do massive amounts of damage, but they have some more negative effects to them. And then light magic as a counter to that, maybe make them so that they have like the same amount of damage, but make it so that light magic has more positive effects. So for example, say the next light fire spell puts a, say like a heal over time on you, similar to Link. Something like that, where it's a positive aspect rather than a negative aspect. I think that this would make light magic really dynamic and make it really interesting, where you can either choose to buff yourself and put bonuses on yourself or put negatives on the enemy. It would allow you to have two different distinct types of things that you can do to the enemy and do during a battle, and this would be really interesting as well, as it would add more variety, because as I mentioned in one of my past videos, that the shadow gauge is kind of messed up. The shadow gauge doesn't really work. It takes forever. An interesting way to solve this is that you gain light magic at the same time, so you can either choose to use shadow magic or light magic. I think this would be incredibly interesting. It's just an incredibly fleshed out system that could potentially lead for some more dynamics in the game. I absolutely love dynamics, and I like the game having multiple facets to it to actually succeed, and I think this would be a really cool addition to the game. I think that it solves quite a few issues. Obviously, it solves the issue of what we're going to do about our shadow magic, because we still haven't solved that yet, and we don't know what we're going to do about our shadow magic. There's that. It solves the issue of Grandmother Raven not liking us. Grandmother Raven would like us again if we learn some kind of like potent light magic. It would solve, you know, the aberrant paradox type thing, shadow magic corrupting, and it would also add an interesting dynamic new spell system to the game. Now I've gone over what I think light magic could be, when would they add it? When would they add this mythical light system to the game, and how would they add it? Well, I think that the most logical conclusion would be the last world of Arc 4. I think that next world will also have some things hinting at the dark magic corruption. Since we had that aberrant paradox and whatnot, I think we're going to get something again here. I think it would be really cool if we ultimately decide in the last world that we need to solve this somehow, so we go on a journey to solve it, and we find a world that has the most like potent of light magics, like it is surrounded by purity and light, and we go there in search of actually getting some of that magic ourselves, and we have to go through a long quest line in society to actually gain permission to get this light magic to defeat some kind of force of evil. I think this would be really cool, and it would also lend well to the idea that we are actually the main villains of Arc 4. We don't have a main villain yet, except for the aberrant paradox, which is us. I think it would be really cool if we added that light magic and ultimately defeated our future selves with that. And we defeat our future selves both symbolically and physically, which I think would be really cool. I think they could add that really easily. I think when they would add that would be the final arc world. I think that would ultimately solve our issues while leading to an interesting finale. But that's really it for today. Again, I just wanted to go over this system I think that they could add to the game. I think this was a good video idea. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think they would add a light magic? Do you like my idea for a light magic? Do you think that they should add some specific change that I'm not thinking about? Let me know. I'd like to hear your advice in the comments below. Either way, drop a like, hit the sub button. Only like 30% of you are subscribed. Did you know that? So make sure to do that. Go support me financially on Patreon and join my Discord server if you want to leave video ideas similar to this one. If you want to see me do a video idea, you're much more likely to get it done if you go to the Discord server rather than just my comments. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.